Hello everyone, time for another video, and as per usual, we are going to be taking a look at some Japanese side stuff that I think is a little bit of an update on Astoria and Violet. I've had a little more time with them, and therefore I kind of wanted to update my impressions, my thoughts about each of the characters, and where my thought process is at with elemental teams right now, specifically water and light, because as I was denoting on stream on Monday, one of the big things going forward is I've noticed that a lot of Japanese side players from their poll videos were siding more on the side of Persona 5, and it certainly can be, you know, hey, they like the game kind of thing, they like the characters and everything, but more than likely one of the big things that is going on right now is the fact that light is one of the most important elements in the game. You know, global is about to hit a big boost for the wind element, but as I've said, vision cards there make a lot of difference, I think. For instance, the Ahriman vision card, for example, is a pretty big difference for making Joom work. I mean, Joom is essentially essential to the wind element going forward. There really isn't another wind elemental unit in the next little while that makes as big of an impression as Joom does. And Joom, I mean, if you take a look at the wind element too, a couple of things that we know is that Tifa's vision card, as well as the Nier vision card, are both two other things that are basically pretty essential to the wind element doing well. Well, we're going to take a look at essentially what's going on. So let's start with the light element and Violet, because this element is, I think, just really strong right now for a lot of different reasons. The amount of chaining potential that exists within this class, when you think about the fact that Locke has a slow effect baked into his his primary job, everything about this light element right now is working so well, and it works even better just because of the evasion thing that it is capable of doing now, and it does it really just so well. One of the things that I haven't added to this team at the moment is the brand new light elemental vision card, and one of the big reasons is just because I don't have the spot open right now. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. There it is. Oh no, it is. It is unlock. I must be thinking of the raw vision card. There's so many different vision cards right now, and figuring out which ones I really want on this team. You know, Light just has access to so many good slash-based characters, and right now, and possibly just so much elemental chaining that is really easy to do. You know, Locke has Drain Slash as well as Elsie does. Lucy has a triple chaining hit, and now Violet has a triple chaining hit. But the thing about Violet that I have come across thus far is that I have to say that she's really kind of, in a way, underperforming early days. I have no doubt in my mind that she is going to be absolutely, you know, borderline disgusting once she gets into EX. But one of the things I don't know if I really thought that this was going to be as much of a problem is how many of her stats that are really important are locked behind her EX. Like if you take a look at just the amount of just luck-based stat that's in here, as well as we're looking at a little bit of agility, a little more attack, and a couple of her abilities just being improved, including her counter ability. These are some of the things that I have been missing the most in terms of this, because level 89 is not cutting it for evasion, and I definitely do need to give her a TMR that is evasion worthy. But I have to say that the kit of Violet is not only very heavily dependent on criticals, but if it does ever get rolling, which I've had pretty decent outcomes thus far, it is absolutely disgusting what she can do with her large AoE removing AP, which is pretty devastating in terms of auto PvP, like arena and whatnot. It is really hard for the opponent to come back from that because they just lose enough AP that some of their abilities become unusable, and the AoE is so big that it pretty much guarantees a lot of times that you're going to hit most of the opponents. She's also so fast. So I think that's really good, but without her being into EX, without the luck card being fully maxed yet, I do feel like she is missing a few things. Also, what's important about getting her to EX and getting all those extra luck stat and everything is because the more often you can get this counter ability to proc, the better it is. Like, I'll even just finish upgrading it because it wasn't something I've really done before right now. I mean, I got some stuff to improve on her. There's lots of things going on in my brain right now, but this character, like when she evades a physical attack, she also has a chance to just hit the enemy, providing that she like crits and everything. And again, from my experience, it's been pretty nice thus far. I'm really, really happy with how strong she ends up being. She is one of those characters, though, that I've moved into, you have to EX her 100%, because if you're not EXing her, you're just losing out so much that it doesn't feel like you're going to get the full value out of it. Like, taking a look at this is a much more complete build at level 120. I'm not entirely convinced about, this, for example, as opposed to another TMR, but I'm not against it either. But that's kind of because maybe I want to run bells on her. Maybe I just want to get that going. But you can see that this, once you get into her EX, her stats are just really, really high. So let's run this a couple of times. But yeah, I do think that the EX is just almost critical, as well as just a lot of gear and a dodge esper as well. I don't think that she works without a dodge esper. She just doesn't have naturally enough evasion in her kit to really make it work, for master ability and everything like that. So you need a lot more outside. Like Locke, for example, is like the prime example of a really amazing evasion character. I mean, for tons and tons and tons of reasons why Locke is just so damn good. But performance-wise, Locke has been one of my favorites in terms of what I ever thought an evasion character should be. And he kind of does work even at lower tiers. Like mine is not even 115 yet, but it feels like most of the time with his counter and everything, it shures up when his evasion doesn't quite get there. But you can see, for instance, mine is doing a good amount of damage. She's very much capable of dishing out a lot of pain. But if we get here, see, that is a good example of her dodge working properly into 120, whereas mine thus far has not really got there. Like, it's just been a little bit, in terms of performance-wise, a little bit disappointing, because without that incredibly high luck stat, it's just her performance isn't quite there. So that's enough talk about Violet. I think overall, once she's into EX and everything, she's very, very impressive. She's definitely synergizes incredibly well with the light element, and she's more deadly on some of her abilities than I thought she would be. Her main kit is like really where the danger is. That large AoE that can remove AP off the enemy is pretty backbreaking for a lot of teams, and especially a lot of teams that want to do a sure hit ability. If they don't have the AP, if they're not set up properly, they'll be really easy cannon fodder, because with a high enough evade and the proper equipment, she's going to have evasions. That counter ability is going to hit the enemy for, as you can see, really high amounts of damage, especially when the criticals happen. So yeah, Violet, very, very impressed with. Not much else to say about that. But yeah, EX. All right, so let's talk about water. And this is by far becoming my favorite element in the entire game. A lot of people have, well, some people have been saying, hey, Umbra, I think Celeste is not really that great. Obviously, I'll just bring my Thunder team and kill her. Well, I think you're going to have quite a few extra steps because you can build her. And for the reference, these vision cards are not completely set in stone. There's a few ones that I would like to build, but just showing off how the water team is shaping up kind of thing. I've built this team based around the idea of longevity but still a large amount of power. Like for instance, if I really wanted to Falm, definitely we'll just make this change right now. I mean, it tanks her stats a bit, but this will be really good for her in the long run. All right, so just showing off each of these units really quickly before we talk about Astoria. So running Glassy, running Falm, and last but not least, we're also running Astoria. All of those are our physical damage dealers. Then we have Aerith for heals. Although from my general perception so far, Aerith has been really impressive in this party because she is still capable of dishing out a lot of damage with all of these vision cards and whatnot. So I am really liking her, but of course the centerpiece that's really making water work right now is Celeste, which you can see my Celeste right now, 10k HP, 63 defense. She's not a physical tank, by the way. 88 in terms of speed still with a 311 dexterity. We could probably work on that and get that a little bit higher. But resistance wise, for everybody who said Thunder, well, this water-based team is pretty strong against Thunder, thanks to the Miranda card, which when fully maxed out gives a 20 boost to Thunder resistance, which is, pretty valuable for a water-based elemental team. But you can see very few weaknesses here. This is before her limit burst activates and gives her a boost to all different types of attack evasion. So she's got 33% here, 10% here, 38%, 35%. Going to be running also the Leviathan card once I have the spot open. And it's just an impressive overall stat buff. But of course, we're here to talk about Astoria. And Astoria, in my opinion, has really proven early on just how strong he is. Running him earlier on today against bigger boss battles, his limit burst hits for about 6,000 to 8,000 at level 89, and that's before the armature effect. Just like Noctis, who gets secondary hits after his primary attack goes off, which is useful against Guts. This limit burst has a similar effect, and it deals about 2,000 to 3,000 points of damage for every post hit. Astoria's capabilities are basically what I kind of wanted Noctis to be. Noctis, I really like the idea of a secondary hit coming after. It can very much destroy a unit that is relying on Guts or re-raise to survive that kind of attack, which is very, 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 very useful. And so Astoria here has kind of just become a water Noctis that is just, for all intents and purposes, better. Really high range on its abilities and everything like that. And just been incredibly impressive top to bottom. If there's one thing I will say about sub-jobs, though, that I found out from using this unit for the last little bit, I actually really am starting to dislike the idea of either Sniper or Battle Axe, because as it turns out, Battle Axe is just kind of too good to run. And it's mainly because of this ability. This ability which activates the slow status effect, which is very nice, don't get me wrong. But a major problem is that it gives him so much range that he doesn't run a lot of his buffs that you really would want him to use, such as his gut status effects, such as his HP. Like, this actually has, I think, he's a very good, he's a little bit faster in terms of farming, but he's actually worse off because he's not activating that effect, which essentially takes out a lot of his AP costs. So long as he has the gut status effect in place from this ability, he has essentially an AP cost reduction of about 33%, I believe. It's either 33 or 40%. But it's enough that you want to be running this ability always. So I found that sub-job wise, I think I'm verging more on just permanently this to say that I would like, you know, these two abilities, I'm pretty sure that I would like to turn the AP drain off, but it kind of is a detriment to run him with better range, because you are, most of the time his AI will just not use those kind of buffs and you're losing out a fair bit. The only other thing I've noticed about his AI is that it really likes to use the HP buff, and I'm not sure if this is worth turning off yet. I mean, honestly, the priority would be this, but it runs this, then bells, then his gut status effect, which is a little bad. I mean, given that there is an actual AP up card in water now, don't think you necessarily want to be running Astoria without without bells. I mean, it might work. I actually even think that a TMR, for the most part, a more defensive TMR would be kind of nice, but you really want him to be running these abilities more than anything, because I don't think his AP is really that much of a problem if he uses guts, but still a little bit of early on phase. Taking a look at Astoria in terms of just being lower level, again, I don't have any complaints about it. Obviously, we got a lot of stuff in here: dexterity, attack, an HP node, which will make him a lot more survivable, and, you know, improvements to his abilities as well. All of these things you're essentially going to want to be running. His EX is just going to make him even more powerful, but he is a unit that really excels still even at a lower level, whereas Violet, I found, needs to get into EX because she needs those extra stats. So heading back in here, we can also take a look here at a fully formed Astoria. So taking a look, about 9,000 HP, about 1,500 attack, about 100 speed, 310 in terms of dexterity, 326 in terms of luck, and we got, you know, a little bit of spirit here, and we can look at his resistances, still positive on the thunder elemental, weak to strike, but it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. His unit, for instance, 22% and 45% in terms of that. If we just scooch over here really quickly and take a look at mine, you can see it's a little bit different, but mostly the same. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Overall, Astoria's performance thus far has been excellent, both in terms of dealing damage with this team that is pretty, you know, it's got a little bit more to work on before it's completely ready for showtime, but damage-wise, Astoria is easily just a fantastic unit for running right from the get-go. So here we can see he's running a bunch of buffs from the start. Really, again, apprehensive to use that gut status effect. And I don't know if you want to run the HP one. The HP one will definitely, you know, give him more survivability over multiple turns, but I think just running the guts is probably what you want to do to get that AP cost down. See, we're still running buffs. There's a hit. Can hit from long distance because of the range. The cross ability, his cross AoE one, has actually been pretty impressive in the last few days because it has enough range on it that it can actually hit from pretty far away, which I really, really, really like. Again, AP might be a bit of a concern going forward about how to exactly balance that, whether you want the guts or the HP regeneration. Thus far, I don't think the HP regeneration is offering a lot as something you necessarily want. Again, maybe guts is just good enough, but I don't know, once I get him into EX, I think I will have a better idea. You can see that this team is also just really strong and good at dealing with enemies. But yeah, Both characters, I think, are really well. Astoria performs very well early on and will perform even better once you get him into EX. Violet is pretty much a mandatory as soon as you can get her into EX. Well, I think that's also important just because, you know, she is definitely right now on the JP side, and probably when she comes out on the global side, going to be a very important character in PvP, and I think you want to just make sure that you get her right away into those as high statted as you possibly can go. So anyway, just an updated look at both of the characters. I know I didn't get to show off the friend units earlier, but you get a slightly better idea for how much damage they're dealing and what they will be capable of in the future. Yeah, just kind of wish that Violet was a little bit more of an early bloomer, but I think that for me, she's still going to end up really good once in about 3 days when I get her into EX. So thanks for watching. Hope you found this informative, and I guess this is my new closeout for the year. Play responsibly. See ya.